The Andara sector was quiet that day, but a tension hung in the void, invisible yet sharp like a blade. Stars streaked past in the distance, and distant planets glimmered faintly. Among them floated a lone human warship, the Defiant, sleek and unassuming compared to the massive alien fleet approaching. Its hull was painted in dark gray, almost blending into the void, yet it carried an aura of quiet power. Captain Rin stood on the bridge, looking at the radar screens with calm eyes. Around him, the crew worked in perfect synchronization. Every movement was purposeful, every command precise. They had trained for this moment countless times. Yet no training could truly prepare someone for the vastness of space or the unpredictability of intelligent enemies. The human warship was alone, but it did not feel vulnerable. Humans had a reputation in the galaxy, whispered among alien races, small, resilient, and unpredictable. Rin had seen it in action before, and he trusted his crew as much as the ship itself. "Captain, sensors detect multiple large energy signatures approaching from the northeast," reported Lieutenant Sora, her voice calm but alert. Rin nodded, his eyes narrowing. "How many?" 15 warships, all heading directly toward us. They are maintaining formation. The readings suggest advanced hacking capabilities. They might attempt to breach our systems before any battle begins. Rin's lips pressed into a thin line. "They think a human ship is easy to hack." A soft chuckle escaped him. "We'll see about that." The fleet was alien, unlike anything humans had built. Towering vessels bristling with weapons, shields humming with energy, and most importantly, advanced cyber systems designed to infiltrate and control enemy ships. It was their strategy: disable the enemy before a fight began. To them, humans were easy prey. They did not expect ingenuity, only resistance. The alien fleet's commander, Virok, watched the Defiant through his own ship's sensors. He was a tall, imposing figure, his eyes sharp and calculating. "There it is," he said in his deep, resonant voice. "The lone human ship. Prepare the hack. Take it offline before it can fire a single shot." His officers, nervous but obedient, began initiating the attack. Streams of code, invisible yet deadly, streamed through space toward the Defiant. It was silent, unseen by ordinary sensors, yet it carried immense power. Back on the human ship, the crew noticed the intrusion almost immediately. "Captain," said Sora, "we have unauthorized access attempts on multiple subsystems. They're trying to override navigation, communications, and weapons simultaneously." Rin's expression remained unchanged. He walked slowly along the bridge, observing his crew. "They are confident," he said. "They assume we cannot respond. That is their mistake. The Defiant was designed not only for battle but for survival. Its systems were equipped with adaptive AI, capable of learning from attacks and turning them against aggressors. Humans had always relied on creativity and resilience to survive, and the AI reflected that philosophy. It didn't just block the attack. It studied it, understood the patterns, and prepared a counter. "Shields at full capacity," Rin commanded. "Engage defensive protocols. Let them see what happens when humans are underestimated." The crew moved with precision. Fingers danced across consoles, adjusting shields, recalibrating sensors, and monitoring the alien signals. The AI inside the Defiant processed the incoming code, unraveling it like threads in a complex tapestry. It learned how the aliens thought, how they calculated, and most importantly, how to exploit their confidence. Virok's fingers flew across his control panel, directing his fleet. "Focus the attack. Don't let them adapt," he barked. "They are alone. They cannot survive a coordinated hack." He did not know that his own confidence was already a weakness. Humans, Rin thought, always found strength in what others ignored. The Defiant would not just defend itself. It would make the aliens pay for underestimating them. The first wave of the alien hack hit the human ship. Systems flickered, alarms sounded, but the Defiant held steady. The AI worked silently, turning the alien code back on its origin. Alien systems began to show minor errors. Misreadings in navigation, delayed weapon charges, and confusion in shield patterns. To the human crew, it was almost imperceptible, but Rin noticed every detail. "Interesting," he murmured. "They are precise but predictable." Sora raised an eyebrow. "You think they won't expect this?" Rin smiled faintly. "They assume humans are reactive. We are proactive." The alien fleet began to notice irregularities. One of their smaller vessels suddenly drifted slightly off course. Another experienced a brief system shutdown. Confusion spread like wildfire. Virok's calm demeanor faltered as reports flooded in from his officers. "Captain, 2 of our ships are malfunctioning," one officer shouted. "It's impossible." Virok slammed his clawed hand onto the console. Impossible? Nothing is impossible when humans are alone. Focus, isolate the source of the interference. But it was too late. The AI inside the Defiant had already mapped the alien network. It knew which ships were vulnerable, which commands would backfire, and how to maximize the effect without risking the human vessel. Rin stood silently, watching the chaos unfold. He did not gloat. Victory in space was never guaranteed, and he knew better than to underestimate any enemy completely. Yet there was a thrill in watching the unexpected happen, a thrill only humans seemed capable of enjoying in such moments. The Defiant executed a series of complex maneuvers, weaving through the void like a predator testing its prey. Every movement caused the alien fleet to adjust, creating more errors in their formation. Ships collided with energy shields, weapons misfired, and communication channels went silent. Alien officers scrambled to regain control, but the humans had already anticipated every step. "Captain," Sora said, her voice tight with excitement, "they are panicking. Their systems are feeding back errors at a rapid rate. We can actually control the flow of their attack." Rin nodded slowly. "Let them learn a lesson in humility, not through destruction, but through strategy." It was then that the Defiant made a subtle shift, a tiny movement in the vastness of space. To any ordinary observer, it would have been nothing. To the alien fleet, it was catastrophic. The AI had rerouted the hacking signals, sending them into the aliens' own network. Now every attempt to attack the human ship caused malfunctions in their own vessels. Virok's face turned pale. "What is this? How can this be happening?" An officer whispered, barely audible. "Captain, they are turning our own systems against us." Rin leaned on the railing, looking out at the swirling chaos of alien ships. He did not feel anger, nor did he feel fear. He felt respect. For the ingenuity of humans, for the courage of his crew, and for the unpredictability of life itself. The alien fleet, once confident and unshakable, now struggled to maintain formation. Some ships drifted apart, weapons misfired into empty space, and shields collapsed at critical moments. Virok barked orders, but his words had no effect. Confidence had turned into confusion, precision into chaos. "Prepare for possible engagement," Rin said calmly. "But remember, our greatest weapon is not the guns. It is our mind and the ability to adapt." Sora glanced at him, awe in her eyes. "They underestimated us completely." "I never thought we'd never assume superiority," Rin interrupted gently. "That is the lesson humans have learned over centuries. That is why we survive even when alone." The stars continued to streak past, indifferent to the unfolding drama. In the silence of space, one lone human warship had already begun to rewrite the expectations of an entire alien fleet. It was a small victory, but significant. The Defiant had shown that even in isolation, human ingenuity, strategy, and courage could turn the tide against overwhelming odds. And so, as the Andara sector held its breath, the first battle of wits and not weapons began. The aliens had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they faced something entirely new. Humans who fought not only with strength but with intellect, adaptability, and a will that refused to be broken. The challenge had only just begun. The void of space shimmered with distant stars, but the silence was deceptive. The Defiant glided through the Andara sector with calm purpose, yet behind them, the alien fleet stirred in confusion. What had started as a confident attack had quickly turned into chaos for Commander Virok and his forces. Systems that were supposed to give them total control were now working against them. On the bridge of the human ship, Captain Rin stood quietly, observing the alien fleet on the holographic display. Each alien ship was marked with a bright icon, and many were blinking with warning signals. Some drifted slightly off course, and others showed irregular energy readings. It was a beautiful, controlled chaos, a testament to human preparation. "Captain," Sora said, pointing at the display, "they're trying to regain control. But every time they send commands, more ships glitch. Their formation is collapsing." Rin nodded. "Good, let them see the result of underestimating us. But stay focused, this is only the first stage. They will try again and we must be ready." Lieutenant Taro, the communications officer, chimed in. Captain, they are attempting direct communication. They want to negotiate. Rin raised an eyebrow. Negotiate? At this stage? On what terms, I wonder? He pressed a few buttons on his console, opening the alien message. Virok's voice echoed in the bridge, deep and commanding, filled with frustration. Human vessel. Cease your interference immediately. We demand surrender before we are forced to escalate. Rin leaned back, a faint smile on his face. They think they can intimidate us. That is the human advantage. They assume fear will control us. But humans are not so easily swayed. Sora shook her head in disbelief. Captain, they actually believe we will surrender? Not surrender, Rin replied. They will learn whether they want to or not. The Defiance AI had already begun the next phase. It analyzed the alien fleet's attempts to regain control, predicting their strategies before they could act. For every command the aliens issued, the human ship responded with subtle adjustments. It wasn't just defense, it was counterplay, a dance of intellect and calculation. Virok's fleet attempted another hacking sequence, more sophisticated this time. They tried to isolate the human systems, to attack specific subsystems individually, yet the AI had anticipated this. Each attempt was rerouted and reflected back, causing minor malfunctions across the alien ships. Energy shields flickered unpredictably, weapons fired at empty space, and engines slowed at critical moments. Captain, the AI is doing it again, Taro exclaimed. Every move they make against us creates more errors for them. Rin nodded. Exactly. They are learning the hard way that human technology is designed to adapt. Predictability is their weakness. Flexibility is ours. Meanwhile, in the alien fleet, confusion grew. Officers shouted orders. Systems reported errors faster than they could respond, and Virok's confidence began to crumble. This cannot be happening, he roared. How can a single human ship counter every attack we make? One of his officers hesitated, whispering, Captain, perhaps we underestimated them. They are different. Virok's eyes narrowed. Different? No, we are superior. This is temporary. Focus, or we will lose everything. But the AI on the Defiant had already turned the alien overconfidence into a weapon. By feeding back altered data, it caused ships to misinterpret their position relative to one another. Minor collisions were narrowly avoided, yet enough confusion existed to break formation. The aliens' once perfect fleet now floated like scattered leaves in the void, unable to regroup quickly. Sora watched the holographic display with wide eyes. They're panicking. The ships are no longer in formation. It's amazing, Rin remained calm. Do not celebrate yet. The fight is not over. But notice this. Humans survive because we adapt. That is what they cannot understand. We are not bound by rigid systems. We change, we learn, we overcome. The aliens, realizing their initial plans were failing, tried a new tactic. They would disable the human ship's sensors, hoping to blind the Defiant and force it into mistakes. Their ships fired a series of high-intensity energy pulses, designed to scramble detection systems and interfere with navigation. Shields holding, Sora reported. Sensors are flickering, but the system compensates. They're trying, but it's not enough. Rin walked slowly along the bridge, observing the crew. Every member was focused, moving with quiet precision. Humans excel in unpredictability, he said softly. Every challenge we face becomes an opportunity. Watch closely. With a subtle shift, the Defiance AI rerouted the alien energy pulses, creating a feedback loop. The alien ships that fired at the humans experienced temporary energy surges. Some weapon systems overheated, while others shut down entirely. Engines sputtered and then restarted with errors, throwing ships slightly off course. Chaos spread across the alien fleet like wildfire. On the bridge of Virok's flagship, the commander slammed his clawed hand on the console in frustration. This is impossible. Our systems are failing. How can a single human ship manipulate our attacks like this? One officer, trembling, said, Captain, it is as if they are controlling our ships with our own technology. Virok's face darkened with fury. We will not fail. Focus on isolating the human vessel. We will strike together and end this immediately. But Rin was already 2 steps ahead. The Defiant executed a series of maneuvers, small but precise. Each movement forced the alien fleet to adjust, creating minor collisions and misfires across their formation. The humans were not attacking directly. Instead, they were letting the aliens destroy themselves through their own errors. Sora couldn't help but speak, her voice filled with awe. Captain, every move we make, It's like a mirror. They attack and it comes back at them. Their own systems are betraying them. Rin smiled faintly. Humans survive because we anticipate, adapt, and use intellect as a weapon. Force alone is rarely enough. Never forget that. As the Defiant continued its precise dance, the aliens' frustration grew. Their fleet, once powerful and confident, now drifted apart, each ship struggling to maintain control. Ferox's orders were ignored as junior officers acted independently, trying to repair systems that kept failing. Prepare the emergency protocol, Ferox barked, his patience exhausted. If we cannot control the human ship through hacking, we must destroy it. But even that threat could not reach the humans. The Defiant's speed, agility, and protective systems allowed it to remain beyond effective range. The humans did not attack. They let the aliens reveal the flaws in their own design. Captain, Taro said, their attempts are becoming more desperate. They are making mistakes faster than ever. Their coordination is gone. Rin leaned on the railing, his gaze steady. Exactly. Let them learn that confidence without understanding is dangerous. Let them see that humans are not to be underestimated. Hours passed in the cold emptiness of space, but the battle of wits continued. The aliens tried again and again to regain control, each time facing more malfunctions and confusion. They did not understand human adaptability, the ability to anticipate, or the advantage of a crew trained to work together under pressure. In the midst of the chaos, a sense of calm prevailed on the Defiant. Crew members moved with purpose, executing orders efficiently, confident in their strategy and the AI that guided them. Humans thrived under pressure, and every attack from the aliens only strengthened their resolve. Finally, a signal came through the human ship's communication array. It was a simple message transmitted directly to the alien fleet. Cease attacks. You are outmatched. Adapt or retreat. Ferox glared at the message, disbelief clear in his eyes. He barked more orders, but the fleet's systems continued to fail. Misfires, collisions, and miscalculations spread across their ranks like a storm. It was no longer a battle. It was a demonstration of human ingenuity and the cost of underestimating a small, adaptive species. Rin looked at his crew, pride evident in his eyes. This is the advantage humans have. Not in size, not in numbers, not in raw power, but in creativity, adaptability, and courage. Remember this and never forget that humans can survive and thrive, even when alone against impossible odds. As the Defiant glided silently through the sector, the alien fleet struggled to regain control, their own systems betraying them. And in that silence, the humans understood something crucial. True power was not just in weapons, but in mind, teamwork, and the ability to turn every challenge into an opportunity. The first stage of the battle was over, but the story was just beginning. Humans had shown their strength, but the galaxy would soon see that underestimating them was a mistake no one could afford to make. The Andara sector stretched endlessly, a canvas of darkness dotted with distant stars and drifting asteroids. In this vast emptiness, the Defiant floated like a small but determined shadow. The alien fleet, once orderly and imposing, now struggled to maintain coherence. Systems glitched, formations fractured, and confidence had given way to confusion. Yet Captain Rin knew better than to celebrate prematurely. This is only the beginning, Rin said quietly, standing at the bridge railing. His eyes scanned the holographic display showing the scattered alien fleet. They will try again. They always do. But humans are not easily cornered. Sora, standing beside him, nodded. Captain, their ships are still drifting, but some are trying to reorganize. They're attempting smaller, more focused hacking attacks. Rin's expression hardened. Good, let them reveal themselves. We will counter each move, but this time, we will not just defend. We will control the battlefield. The AI aboard the Defiant had already begun analyzing the alien fleet's new tactics. Every ship's systems were being monitored, every command traced, every pattern studied. The humans were no longer reacting, they were anticipating. The AI suggested maneuvers that would exploit weaknesses in the aliens' fleet without risking the Defiant. Engage countermeasures, Rin commanded. Focus on precision, not brute force. Let them see that every attack they make carries consequences for them. The alien fleet launched its next attempt. Smaller groups of ships tried coordinated strikes against the human ship's shields, engines, and weapons. But each attack was mirrored, redirected, or absorbed, and in every case, the Defiant used the incoming energy to create disruptions in the attacker's own ships. Minor collisions occurred, engines faltered, and weapons misfired. Every assault backfired in a subtle yet effective way. Virok's fury was growing. "This is unacceptable!" he bellowed to his officers. "How can a single human ship counter every move we make? Their technology should be inferior." One officer whispered nervously, "Captain, it is as if the human vessel anticipates us. Every command we issue, it returns against us." Virok's eyes narrowed. "Focus, they are small but they are clever. Find their weakness or we will lose everything." Back on the Defiant, Rin observed the growing chaos among the aliens with calm determination. "Notice this," he said to Sora. "Humans survive because we adapt quickly. Every mistake they make is an opportunity for us to turn the tide further. Watch closely." The Defiant executed a series of intricate maneuvers, small, almost imperceptible movements, but calculated perfectly to force the alien ships into misalignment. One cruiser drifted too close to another, its engines overcompensating for the human ship's movement. A smaller fighter misjudged a turn and collided with a decoy probe, sending sparks across its hull. Errors spread like a chain reaction, and the alien fleet could not recover. Sora leaned closer to the display, eyes wide. "Captain, every move we make, it's causing a cascade. Their ships are destroying their own formation without even hitting us." Rin nodded. "Exactly. Humans excel in unpredictability. Our strength lies not just in defense, but in turning the enemy's actions into their undoing. We fight with mind, not just might." Virok's patience had evaporated. "Prepare the quantum disruptors," he shouted. "If we cannot hack the human ship, we will use force. Fire on their engines simultaneously. End this now." The alien ships fired their disruptors in unison, creating a sudden surge of energy aimed directly at the Defiant. The human ship tilted slightly, shields flaring to maximum, but the AI anticipated this assault. It rerouted the energy, feeding it back through the nearest alien vessel's power conduits. Engines overheated, shields faltered, and weapon systems shut down unexpectedly. Taro, monitoring communications, gasped. "Captain, they're hitting themselves. The energy they sent to us is destabilizing their own fleet." Rin smiled faintly. "Patience, Taro. Never underestimate the power of understanding your enemy. They assume superiority because they rely solely on technology and numbers. Humans rely on adaptability, strategy, and teamwork." The Defiant moved like a shadow among stars, a ghost that left confusion and malfunction in its wake. The aliens tried again and again, but each attempt only worsened their situation. Minor errors escalated, and soon even the smallest ships were unable to follow commands accurately. A cruiser's weapons discharged into empty space while another drifted perilously close to an asteroid. On Virok's flagship, tension was palpable. Officers shouted reports of cascading failures, but the commander could not find a solution. "This cannot continue," he bellowed. "Focus your efforts on isolating the human vessel. We will regain control." But the Defiant had already gone a step further. Using the adaptive AI, the ship began creating illusions in the alien fleet's sensors. Ships that appeared to approach the human vessel were nothing more than holographic projections. The real Defiant moved silently, avoiding detection while subtly nudging the alien formations toward errors. Sora watched the display, disbelief in her eyes. "Captain, they can't even tell where we really are. Their sensors are completely fooled." Rin nodded. "Humans survive because we anticipate, innovate, and use intellect as a weapon. That is something no amount of technology alone can overcome." The alien fleet, now panicked and disoriented, tried to regroup. Virok barked orders, but coordination was impossible. Some ships attempted to retreat, others drifted aimlessly, and a few even collided with one another. The once mighty fleet was falling apart, victims of its own arrogance and underestimation. Taro pointed at the holographic display. "Captain, their main cruiser is drifting dangerously close to a meteor field. If it continues, it might collide." Rin nodded. "Good. Let them feel the consequences of overconfidence. We do not strike with aggression, but with strategy." Even the smaller alien fighters, previously confident in their speed and maneuverability, were now trapped by the illusions and miscalculations created by the human ship. They fired at phantom targets, overcompensated their engines, and misaligned with their own fleet. The more they struggled, the more errors multiplied. Virok's frustration boiled over. "This is unacceptable," he roared. "How can a single human ship control the outcome of an entire fleet?" One of his officers, finally realizing the truth, whispered, "Captain, Perhaps they are not controlling it directly. Perhaps it is our own mistakes being amplified. Virok's eyes narrowed dangerously. Impossible. We are superior in every way. We will not accept this defeat. Meanwhile, on the Defiant, Rin's calm voice carried over the bridge. Let them try to understand. Humans survive because we learn, adapt, and act with courage, and we do not need to rely solely on numbers or force. Every error they make is a lesson in humility. The AI suggested another subtle maneuver, one that would turn the alien fleet's energy fields against themselves. The Defiant moved slightly, invisible to the naked eye but perfectly timed. Two alien cruisers, miscalculating their positions, were nudged by gravitational anomalies into an accidental collision. Sparks and debris scattered across space, a quiet but effective demonstration of human strategy at work. Sora whispered, awe in her voice. Captain, it's working. They are destroying themselves and we haven't even fired a shot. Rin smiled faintly. Exactly. Humans thrive because we do not rely solely on power. We rely on understanding, creativity, and teamwork. That is something the galaxy must remember. As the Andara sector settled into a tense stillness, the alien fleet was in disarray. Virok tried to issue more orders, but they were ignored or executed incorrectly. Systems continued to fail, and even the most disciplined officers could not regain control. Prepare for possible engagement, Rin said quietly. But remember, our greatest weapon is not our shields or our weapons, it is our mind, and the ability to adapt faster than the enemy can react. The Defiant drifted through the sector with quiet confidence, a lone human warship demonstrating that intelligence, adaptability, and courage could turn even the most overwhelming challenge into an opportunity. The aliens had underestimated humans once again, and the cost of that underestimation was becoming painfully clear. As the first signs of alien retreat appeared, Rin's voice carried over the bridge, calm yet firm. Humans survive because we anticipate, learn, and act together. Let this be a lesson. Never underestimate those who are willing to adapt, think, and endure. The Defiant had turned the tables completely. From a single, seemingly vulnerable ship, humans had reshaped the battle, proving once more that ingenuity and teamwork were more powerful than raw force alone. The galaxy would soon learn that humans were not just survivors, they were strategists, innovators, and a force to be reckoned with. The stage was set. The aliens had learned a lesson in humility, but the story of human resilience and strategy was far from over. The Andara sector, once calm and quiet, now throbbed with chaos. The alien fleet, proud and imposing just hours before, was unraveling like a thread pulled too hard. Ships floated aimlessly. Weapons misfired and energy shields flickered in unpredictable patterns. Captain Rin observed the holographic display on the Defiant, noting each movement, each error, each opportunity. This is the point where they realize the consequences of underestimating humans, Rin said softly, leaning against the bridge railing. His eyes scanned the scattered fleet. Their confidence has become their weakness. Sora, her hands hovering over the console, pointed at a cluster of alien cruisers drifting near an asteroid belt. Captain, they're moving too close to the asteroid field. One wrong calculation and they'll collide. Rin nodded. Exactly. Let them feel the results of overconfidence. We do not need to attack directly. Strategy is more powerful than firepower. The AI aboard the Defiant had been silently analyzing every ship, every system, and every movement of the alien fleet. It identified weaknesses not just in technology but in behavior. The aliens were making errors because they expected obedience from their systems, but human unpredictability was beyond their calculations. Taro, monitoring communications, spoke up with urgency. Captain, some of their ships are trying to regroup, but their navigation systems are failing. Engines are misaligned and shields are down. This could get dangerous if we're not careful. Rin's voice was calm, yet filled with quiet determination. Dangerous to them, not to us. Maintain current trajectory and shield integrity. Let them demonstrate the price of miscalculation. Commander Virok, aboard his flagship, slammed his clawed hands onto his console. Focus, re-establish formation. Stop this chaos immediately. His officers scrambled, shouting orders that collided with one another. Each new command only caused further malfunctions. Ships that were trying to move back into formation collided with drifting vessels. Weapon systems discharged unintentionally, creating minor explosions and energy surges across their fleet. Rin watched with quiet satisfaction. "Notice this," he said to Sora and Taro. "They are strong but predictable. They rely on brute force and obedience. Humans rely on adaptability, intellect, and coordination. That difference is their undoing." The Defiant executed another subtle maneuver not to attack but to manipulate the alien fleet further. Using its adaptive AI, it projected false energy signals, making alien captains believe the human ship was in a different location. In response, several cruisers attempted sudden evasive maneuvers and collided with one another. One of their largest ships, misreading its sensors, veered into an asteroid, its hull scraping against the rock and disabling several critical systems. "Captain, it's working," Sora said, her voice tight with awe. "Their own actions are causing damage. We haven't fired a single shot, and yet their fleet is falling apart." Rin nodded slowly. "That is the power of human ingenuity. Observation, calculation, and patience. We survive not because of aggression, but because of understanding and adaptability." The aliens, however, did not understand what was happening. Panic spread across their ranks. Officers shouted over the comms, attempting to regain control, but every order seemed to make the situation worse. Ships collided, weapons misfired, and shields failed at critical moments. Confidence had turned into confusion, and pride had become their undoing. Virok bellowed again, frustration in every word. "This is impossible. How can a single human ship cause this much chaos? Find a way to regain control immediately," one officer, shaking, whispered. "Captain, perhaps it is their ship, or perhaps we are being outsmarted." Virok's eyes blazed with fury. "Outsmarted? Impossible. Humans are small and weak compared to us. We rely on technology. We are superior in every way." Back on the Defiant, Rin and his crew continued their work silently, calmly, and efficiently. The human warship moved like a ghost, subtle adjustments and precise calculations guiding its path. The AI monitored the alien fleet, nudging them further into error without any direct attack. "Captain, several of their ships are drifting into the outer asteroid field," Taro said. "At least 3 cruisers are dangerously close to collision." "Let them learn," Rin replied. "Every misstep teaches them a lesson in humility. Humans survive because we think, adapt, and act together." The aliens, desperate and panicked, tried one last coordinated attempt. A group of cruisers aimed concentrated energy pulses at the Defiant, hoping to disable its systems. They fired in unison, a wave of destructive force meant to end the standoff. The human ship tilted slightly, shields flaring in response, and the AI took control. It rerouted the energy, sending it back through the alien fleet's network. The result was catastrophic. Engines overloaded, shields collapsed, and weapon systems shut down entirely. Several ships collided, unable to stop themselves, while others drifted helplessly, disabled in the middle of the void. Sora watched, breathless. "Captain, their fleet, it's falling apart. They're destroying themselves." Rin's calm voice filled the bridge. "Exactly. This is the power of human adaptability. Observe, predict, and act with precision. They rely on force. We rely on intellect." The Defiant moved silently, invisible to the disoriented aliens. Each maneuver nudged another ship toward malfunction or collision. The AI created subtle illusions, projecting the human vessel in different locations to confuse the enemy further. Misfires, collisions, and errors multiplied, leaving the alien fleet in complete disarray. Virok's face twisted in fury. "This is unacceptable. Stop this immediately. Focus." But no amount of orders could restore control. The alien fleet had become a victim of its own arrogance. Ships drifted into asteroids, weapons discharged into empty space, and shields collapsed at critical moments. The very technology they trusted had turned against them, amplified by human strategy and ingenuity. "Captain," Taro said, pointing at the display. "Their main cruiser is drifting uncontrollably. If it hits that asteroid, it could disable at least 5 ships nearby." Rin nodded. "Then let it happen. Humans survive not by force alone, but by using knowledge and strategy. This is a lesson in humility for them." The AI continued its precise work, nudging alien ships into positions where their own maneuvers caused minor collisions. Engines failed, weapons misfired, and shields flickered unpredictably. The fleet, once a symbol of power and confidence, was now a scattered group of malfunctioning vessels. Sora's voice was filled with awe. "Captain, they're retreating. Some ships are trying to pull back, but their systems are failing. The fleet is collapsing. Rin watched, calm and collected. Let them retreat. Humans do not need to destroy everything to win. Strategy, patience, and intellect are more powerful than brute force. They will learn respect for human ingenuity. Virok, realizing his fleet could no longer function as intended, reluctantly ordered a retreat. Fall back! Regroup if possible. We will return. But retreat was difficult. Many of the ships were already too damaged to maneuver effectively. Collisions, system failures, and miscalculations had weakened the fleet, and the humans had not even fired a single shot directly at them. The Defiant glided silently through the sector, its crew calm and focused. Humans had demonstrated that even against overwhelming odds, strategy, intellect, and teamwork could turn the tide completely. The aliens had learned a harsh lesson. Underestimating humans came with consequences. Rin turned to his crew, a quiet pride in his voice. Remember this moment. Humans survive because we adapt, we think, and we act together. Our strength lies not only in our ships, but in our minds, our teamwork, and our courage. That is what makes us formidable. Sora nodded, smiling. Captain, it's incredible. They thought they could destroy us, but we didn't even have to fight directly. Their own errors defeated them. Exactly, Rin said. Humans survive because we learn from every challenge. That is our greatest strength. Never forget it. As the Defiant moved onward, the Andara sector settled into a tense calm. The alien fleet, once confident and powerful, was broken, retreating into the distance. Their pride and overconfidence had been their undoing, while the humans' intellect, adaptability, and teamwork had triumphed without a single direct strike. The first stage of the battle was complete. Humans had proven their resilience, strategy, and ingenuity, and as the Defiant continued its journey, the galaxy began to understand a simple truth. Humans could survive and even dominate against impossible odds, not through sheer force but through courage, intelligence, and the power of working together. The Andara sector lay quiet once more, but the aftermath of the battle was visible across the void. The alien fleet, once confident and imposing, was now scattered and damaged. Many ships drifted helplessly among asteroids, their crews struggling to regain control. Only a few managed to escape, retreating in shame and confusion. On the bridge of the human warship Defiant, Captain Rin stood silently, observing the results of the engagement. His crew worked calmly, monitoring the retreating fleet and ensuring that the Defiant remained unharmed. Despite the chaos around them, the humans had not fired a single shot directly. Their victory had come through intellect, strategy, and teamwork, a lesson the galaxy would not forget. Sora, still in awe, turned to Rin. Captain, they're retreating. The fleet, they're completely broken, and we didn't even need to fire at them directly. Rin nodded slowly. Exactly, Sora. Humans survive because we adapt, anticipate, and act together. Force alone is not enough. We use our minds, our creativity, and our courage. That is what makes us strong. Taro, the communications officer, scanned the remaining signals from the alien ships. Captain, most of their systems are failing. They're drifting without control. Any attempt to regroup will take weeks, if not months. Their fleet, it's essentially neutralized. Rin allowed a small smile. Good. Let them understand that underestimating humans carries consequences, not through destruction, but through intelligence and resilience. Meanwhile, in the remnants of the alien fleet, Commander Virok struggled to maintain what little control remained. His officers were frantic, unable to restore the systems fully, and many ships were stranded in the sector, vulnerable to natural hazards like asteroid fields or gravity wells. Retreat, Virok barked, though his voice lacked authority. Survive, regroup, and return stronger. One of his junior officers hesitated. Captain, our fleet. We cannot even hold formation. Most ships are barely functional. If we stay, we will be destroyed. Virok's eyes blazed with frustration. Then retreat. But remember this, never underestimate humans. They are not like any species we have faced before. Back on the Defiant, Rin addressed his crew. Today we have shown the galaxy what humans can do. Not because we are the largest or most powerful, but because we are adaptable, creative, and brave. Remember this and carry it with you. The crew, inspired and proud, nodded. Every member understood the magnitude of their accomplishment. They had faced an overwhelming fleet and survived, not through brute force but through intelligence and teamwork. Sora glanced at the holographic display, showing the scattered alien ships. Captain, their technology is advanced, but it was their overconfidence that cost them. They underestimated our adaptability. Rin nodded. Exactly. Confidence without understanding is dangerous. Humans survive because we learn quickly, adapt effectively, and act decisively. That is our advantage in any challenge. Taro leaned forward, reviewing the last of the alien signals. Captain, their remaining ships are retreating in disarray. Most of them won't make it back to their sector without extensive repairs. The fleet, it's effectively erased from this part of the galaxy. Rin's voice was calm yet filled with quiet satisfaction. Humans do not need to destroy everything to win. Strategy, patience, and intellect are more powerful than raw force. Let the galaxy remember this lesson. The Defiant moved silently through the sector, its engines humming softly. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but the humans had made their mark. They had demonstrated that even when alone against a superior force, humans could survive and triumph through ingenuity, courage, and teamwork. Sora, still amazed, spoke again. Captain, the stories of humans surviving impossible odds, they're true. We've done it ourselves, and we didn't even fire a shot. Rin's eyes softened as he looked at his crew. That is the power of human strategy. Every challenge is an opportunity. Every attack can be turned into a lesson, and every mistake by an opponent is a chance to learn. That is what humans bring to the galaxy: resilience, intelligence, and creativity. The alien fleet, retreating and broken, would carry the memory of this encounter for generations. Virok's arrogance had led to failure, and the humans' quiet strength had triumphed. It was not destruction, not aggression, but understanding and strategy that had won the day. Taro, scanning the last of the communication signals, added, Captain, I'm picking up scattered transmissions. They're acknowledging our tactics, even if they don't fully understand them. Their fleet, it's humbled. Rin allowed a small nod. Good. Let them see that humans are not to be underestimated. Our victory today is not just for survival. It is a message to the galaxy. The crew of the Defiant felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced one of the most advanced fleets in the sector and emerged unscathed. They had proven that intellect, adaptability, and courage could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Sora, standing tall, said, Captain, it's inspiring. The galaxy will learn to respect humans after this. We've shown them what we're capable of. Rin smiled faintly. Yes, Sora. But remember, respect must be earned through actions, not words. Today we earned it. Tomorrow we must continue to uphold it. As the Defiant continued its journey, the Andara sector slowly returned to calm. The alien fleet, humiliated and broken, drifted into the distance, leaving humans to dominate the field without firing a single direct shot. It was a victory of intellect over arrogance, strategy over numbers, and adaptability over rigid power. The story of this engagement would spread across the galaxy. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, strategists, and masters of turning challenges into advantages. Even against overwhelming odds, humans could not only endure, they could dominate. Rin turned to his crew one final time. Today we have proven that humans thrive through ingenuity, teamwork, and courage. Let this be remembered, let this be shared, and let it guide us in all challenges to come. The crew nodded, their faces reflecting pride and determination. They understood that humans were a species defined not by raw strength but by intelligence, adaptability, and resilience. They had written another chapter in the history of human perseverance. As the Defiant glided through the stars, quiet and powerful, the galaxy watched and learned a vital lesson. Humans were a force to be respected. The alien fleet had tried to challenge them, to hack and destroy, but it was the humans' creativity and courage that erased the threat without aggression. The Andara sector, once threatened, was now a testament to human ingenuity. The story of the lone human warship, the scattered alien fleet, and the triumph of intellect over arrogance would be told for generations. Humans had proven once again that even against overwhelming odds they could endure, adapt, and prevail. Captain Rin, standing on the bridge and gazing into the vastness of space, felt a quiet satisfaction. This is the way of humans, he said softly. We survive, we adapt, and we triumph, not because we are the strongest, but because we are clever, courageous, and united. Let this be the lesson the galaxy never forgets. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, But the humans had already left their mark. Their ingenuity, strategy, and teamwork had turned a potential disaster into a resounding victory. And in the cold, silent expanse of space, the Defiant continued its journey, a symbol of human resilience and brilliance, a reminder to all who underestimated them. Never underestimate a human, and so, the battle ended not with explosions but with understanding, not with destruction but with wisdom. Humans had triumphed, and the galaxy had learned that intellect, courage, and adaptability were weapons as powerful as any fleet or weapon system. The Defiant moved onward, carrying not just a crew but the spirit of humanity itself, unbroken, intelligent, and unstoppable.